Hi everybody, Joshua here with the Heavypiano YouTube channel. Let's talk about how to play Elliott Smith's New Disaster on the piano. So you heard me play a little bit of the introduction there. Doing E flat major, D minor, C minor. But let's add a little bit of color to those chords. So I'm doing an E flat major 7, so adding the D natural in there. And then D minor 7, adding the C minor, adding the C natural. And it's like a C minor 6. I'm adding the A in there and the 9th. So there's a lot of different ways we can voice these chords, and I'll try to talk about it as I go. So the pattern I'm using for these 3 chords of the introduction is like a left-right pattern. So the left hand is kind of keeping the pulse, and it's alternating with the right hand. So when you speed it up, I wish I had a term for that. I use kind of those alternating rhythmic patterns, left, right, left, right, left, right, to create movement in my playing a lot of times. So that's almost like an E flat 6 because I'm adding that C in there. So now we're coming into the verse. Again, I'm using like crush notes in my left hand with the 6th note. So my first chord is B flat, and you can think of it like a descending bass line. And it's a D diminished over A flat, or B flat over A flat. Going to G minor, going to G flat augmented. You could also think of it as a B flat major over G flat. And then I played a C over E, going to C, coming back to E flat, again with that 9th in there. You could add the 6th in there, and then B flat over D to F. So this is over that that chord progression for the verse, and the melody will be down here in the middle part of the of the octave. So I'm keeping with that pattern, going back and forth between the left and the right hand. My next progression will be about the same. It'll be a little simpler. I won't have the E flat, B flat over D, and F at the end. Then I'm going to come back into the introduction chords. So I'm going to come back to the verse chord progression. I'll go back. I'll say I played the E flat, D minor, C minor 3 times there. And this time, when I'm coming back into the verse progression, starting on the B flat chord, I'm going to bring my melody up an octave, just like Elliott did. I should say there on that C over E, I am kind of walking the bass up over E over G, going to the root. So something to think about, you could play that way. Back to that intro chord progression. So now we have a new progression we haven't seen before yet. It's going to start on B flat. B flat, D minor over A, G minor, D minor, E flat, C over E, F to E flat. And again, I'd say E flat 9 there, adding the F in there. So let me come out of the last time through that intro progression on E flat, D minor, C minor, and I'll go right into the B flat. Okay, so I played it a little bit differently there. Let's see here. I'm going to start back on the B flat. So I'm stretching out some of my left hand chords, filling out the space a little more. And then when I hit that D minor, because in the recording it gets a little bit bigger there with the bass, I'm going to dig in and add a little bit of rhythm in my left hand. Let me start over on the B flat. So then ending on that low E flat to like really give it finality before we go to the next section. So just some things I was thinking about there. Let's see, then we have another progression that starts with B flat, G minor, G flat augmented again. And the second time on this progression, I tried to add that 7th in there for the B flat 7. So what is it? The lyrics are blow through the coals, I think. Goes to C7 over E. I'm doing that, outlining the chord and the bass thing again on the E, G, C. And then we have our intro progression again, but quickly on the D minor and the C minor. So we only land on those half as long as we do for the introduction. And then we're back to the verse progression again, and the melody is just slightly different here to my ear. So instead of going up this time, I like to go down. If you want to think of it as like a D major there, you can think of it that way. Going to the C over E. So I'm adding more notes in my left hand. I'm outlining the chords a little bit more, doing more of that 10th, maybe the root 5th, 10th kind of sound, maybe some more lower notes in there to add more emphasis. So I've tried to develop it the same way Elliott did, where the song starts very gentle and quiet, and then it does grow as it continues on. Another thing I liked to do, I don't know if I did exactly this way, but coming out of the C over E, going to the E flat, and then arpeggiating the B flat over D to the F. You know, you could play around with that. I know it's like one of those easier said than done things, but I was thinking about adding more movement into my chords there by arpeggiating some of those chords out. Coming back into the B flat progression. Back to our intro progression. And then we have a modified intro progression with E flat, G minor, instead of D minor to C minor. And this goes twice. You know, I add a little bit of emphasis, maybe some octaves in the left hand. You can hear how that really fills it out differently than experiment a little bit with the feeling and how much weight you want to give that. You can also see I'm changing the voicing of my chords a little bit, adding clusters of notes together. You know, experiment on your piano, you know, how it sounds. So on that G minor, for instance, you know, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. You know, even just these little movements within the chord can add some interest and also, you know, a little bit of complexity to your voicing, and it's also creating a little bit of movement within the rhythm. So it's not just a static, here's a chord, here's a melody, here's a chord, here's a melody, but instead here's a living, flowing piece of music. Okay, then we have our last progression starting on E flat. I'll just play these chords. E flat, D minor over A, G minor, and then we're gonna walk the bass up. D minor over A. Maybe we won't do it the whole way. We can do E flat there. C over E, F, G minor, D minor over A, C, and then we're gonna end on B flat. Let me come out of the last time on the E flat, G minor, C minor progression. I'll go into that and play that last little bit for you. So those are the chords and melody that I played for my versions. I did a version on the acoustic and then on the this keyboard as well, so you kind of see some more of the notes to help outline it. I hope you found that helpful. If you have questions or comments, please leave them below, and I'll get back to you if I can. But yeah, I wanted to create this video as a way to share my thought process, and this is how I think about these pieces of music. I love learning Elliott Smith. This was a request from a patron, so I really appreciate getting a chance to do a deep dive into these pieces when I have to try to learn them. I mostly learn them by ear, and I will write out the chords and then sound out the melody by ear. So I may hear different things than you hear. My version may be a little bit different than maybe what you think of. I try to make it as accurate as possible to my ear, and then also just capture the emotion and the energy of the original piece on the piano. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, like I said, leave them below. A big thank you to my patrons on Patreon for supporting the channel. And, I don't play music professionally anymore, so this is a good outlet for me to still be able to make and share music with you. And, I really enjoy making these videos, so thank you for watching. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for your comments. I will catch you next time.